Hey, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, this is Cosmic Blueprint Astrology. Today, we're talking about one of the most significant astrological events of 2026. On February 13th, Saturn enters Aries for the first time since 1996 through 1999. So if you were born between 1996 and 1999, this is your Saturn return, one of the most defining transits of your life. For everyone else, this will reshape a major area of your life over the next 2.5 years. Saturn in Aries is about building yourself from the ground up, taking responsibility for your own path, and becoming the leader of your own life. This is boot camp for your courage, confidence, and independence. So grab your notebook and let's explore what this means for your sign. But first, remember to hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss these major cosmic shifts. Okay, so let's break down what's happening and why it matters. Saturn is the taskmaster of the zodiac, the planet of discipline, structure, responsibility, and maturity. So Saturn takes about 29.5 years to circle the zodiac, spending roughly 2.5 years in each sign. The last time Saturn was in Aries, 1996 through 1999. So this is rare. Saturn has been in Pisces since March 2023. That's been about dissolving boundaries, processing emotions, and surrendering control. Pisces is water, so it's fluid, compassionate, and boundless. Now Saturn moves into Aries and everything changes. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It's cardinal fire, the spark that starts everything. So Aries is about individual identity, courage, leadership, independence, and taking action. When you combine Saturn, which is discipline, structure, and maturity, with Aries, which is courage, initiative, and independence, you get disciplined action, not impulsive, but strategic, well-planned action. You get earned confidence, so building real confidence by facing challenges and proving what you're capable of. You get responsible independence, so standing on your own 2 feet without being reckless. You get mature leadership, which is stepping into leadership with humility and accountability, and you get strategic courage, being brave but not foolish. So Saturn in Aries asks, can you lead yourself? Can you take 100% responsibility for your life? Can you initiate action even when it's scary? Can you stand alone if necessary? So where Saturn transits, we face tests and reality checks. With Saturn in Aries, those tests will be around your ability to take initiative, your courage, your independence, and your leadership. Saturn isn't blocking you to be mean. Saturn is training you. It's building your strength. Think of it like boot camp for your willpower and courage. So collectively, Saturn in Aries brings new leadership paradigms, restructuring competition and conflict, individual accountability, and the maturation of innovation. So the last time Saturn was in Aries, we saw the rise of internet entrepreneurship and a cultural shift toward individual empowerment. So this time we expect a reckoning for leaders who haven't been accountable, innovations built to last, and a cultural emphasis on self-reliance and resilience. This is a 2.5 year journey of becoming the leader of your own life, starting February 13th, 2026. So before we dive into the individual signs, let's talk about the collective energy we're all working with. Saturn entering Aries asks us all to examine self-reliance and independence. Are you taking responsibility for your life or waiting for someone else to fix things? Saturn in Aries demands we stand on our own 2 feet. Over the next 2.5 years, you'll be tested on your ability to be independent, make decisions without consensus, and trust yourself. It's asking us to examine our initiative and action. How good are you at starting things? Not just planning, but actually taking the first step. Saturn in Aries exposes where you've been all talk and no action, where fear has been masquerading as being realistic. This transit teaches you to take strategic action even when you're scared. It's about examining your courage and confidence. So real confidence is built through facing challenges, and Saturn in Aries is boot camp for building genuine confidence. You'll face situations requiring bravery, speaking up, standing out, taking risks. Each time you do, you build more courage. It's about examining healthy anger and assertiveness. So, what's your relationship with anger? Can you be assertive without being aggressive? Can you set boundaries, say no, and stand up for yourself in healthy ways? This transit brings situations where you'll need to access your warrior energy constructively. It's about examining your leadership and authority. So, Saturn in Aries asks us to step into greater leadership, not necessarily in the traditional sense, but in leading our own lives. Where are you still looking for external validation? Where are you waiting for permission? Over the next 2.5 years, you'll get opportunities to step up as a leader. So, the shadow side of this is excessive selfishness or me first attitudes. It's reckless independence, like refusing help when you need it. It's burnout from trying to do everything alone. It can be aggression, impatience, or unnecessary conflict, starting without finishing, and authority issues. So, who will feel this most intensely? I would say all the cardinal signs: Aries, Libra, Cancer, and Capricorn. And then those born between 1996 and 1999, you'll be going through your Saturn return. And then anyone with planets in Aries. But we all need this energy. After years of uncertainty, Saturn in Aries calls us back to ourselves, asking us to rebuild from personal power and responsibility. Now, let's get into what this means for your sign. I'm going to go through all 12, so you can find your sun, moon, or rising sign, or watch all three because we're multidimensional beings. Aries. So this is your transit. Saturn is moving through your first house, the house of self, identity, body, and how you show up in the world. So this is massive. The first house is you, your personality, your physical body, your overall life direction, your sense of self. When Saturn transits here, it's like a complete life restructuring focused on becoming who you're meant to be. Over the next 2.5 years, you're going to mature in significant ways. You're shedding old versions of yourself and building a more authentic, solid, responsible version. So, this might manifest as physical changes. You might change your appearance, your style, or your relationship with your body. Some Aries will lose weight or get in better shape as they take responsibility for their health. Others might deal with physical limitations that force them to slow down and be more strategic about energy. It manifests as identity reconstruction. So, who are you really? Not who you were, not who people expect you to be, but who you are at your core. Saturn is asking you to define yourself clearly and authentically. It's taking yourself seriously. So, no more hiding your lights, no more playing small. Saturn in your first house asks you to step up and become the authority in your life. It's facing insecurities. So, your confidence will be tested. Situations will arise that challenge you to prove yourself, to stand alone, and to be brave enough when you're scared. This builds real confidence, not the fake kind. It's becoming self reliant. You're learning to depend on yourself first, to make your own decisions, to trust your own judgments, to be okay standing alone. And it's leadership developments. So you're being groomed for leadership, whether in your career, your family, your community. You're learning to lead by example. So the challenges are you might feel blocked, delayed, or restricted at times. So people might challenge your authority or your identity. You might face opposition or pushback when you try to assert yourself. Your body might give you signals that you need to slow down. But here's the thing. These aren't punishments, they're training. Saturn is making sure you're ready for the next level of your life. By the time Saturn leaves your sign in 2028, you'll barely recognize yourself. You'll be stronger, more confident, more clear about who you are and where you're going. You'll have earned your authority. Then for Aries born between 1996 and 1999, this is your Saturn return. So this is one of the most significant transits of your life. You're transitioning from youth to adulthood, from potential to actualization. The next 2.5 years will define the next 30, so take it seriously. Then, what to watch out for is major life restructuring, identity shifts, physical changes, confidence building through challenges, and opportunities to prove your leadership capabilities. Taurus, Saturn is moving through your 12th house, the realm of the unconscious, spirituality, hidden things, isolation, and what's ending. So, this is a quieter, more internal transit, but deeply transformative. The 12th house is where we process, release, and prepare for rebirth. It's the house of endings before new beginnings. So, when Saturn transits here, it's like a spiritual boot camp. You're doing deep inner work that will prepare you for your Saturn entering your first house in 2028. So over the next 2.5 years, themes include releasing and letting go. So what needs to end? What are you holding on to that's actually holding you back? Saturn in the 12th house asks you to release old patterns, old fears, old versions of yourself that you've outgrown. It's confronting hidden fears. So the things you don't usually look at, your shadow, your unconscious patterns, your deepest fears, these are coming up for healing. It might be uncomfortable, but it's necessary. It's spiritual discipline. So if you've been casually interested in spirituality, meditation, or inner work, Saturn asks you to get serious about it. Build a real practice, commit to your healing. It's time alone. You'll need more solitude than usual. This isn't loneliness, it's sacred alone time for processing, integrating, and preparing for what's next. It's karma and consequences. The 12th house rules karma. Saturn here brings situations where you must face the consequences of past actions, not as punishment, but as closure and completion. It's healing old wounds. So, therapy work, shadow work, inner child healing, whatever modality calls to you, this is the time to do that deep psychological and spiritual work. It's service and compassion. So the 12th house also rules selfless service. You might feel called to help others in quiet ways, to volunteer, to practice compassion. And then finally, it's preparing for rebirth. So when Saturn enters your first house in 2028, you'll be ready for a complete life restart. But first, you need to clear out the old. That's what this transit is about. The challenges are you might feel tired, drained, or like you're in limbo. Things might end, like relationships, jobs, living situations, but not because they're bad, but because they're complete. You might struggle with unnamed anxiety or fear. The gifts are by the time Saturn leaves your 12th house, you'll have released so much baggage. You'll be lighter, clearer, more spiritually mature. You'll understand yourself on a much deeper level. This is your preparation phase, Taurus. Use it wisely. So, what to watch for is endings that create new beginnings, increased need for solitude, spiritual breakthroughs, therapy or healing work, and the release of old patterns. Gemini, Saturn is moving through your 11th house of friendships, community, networks, social circles, and future vision. This transit is about taking your social life and long term goals seriously. The 11th house rules the communities we choose, the friends who share our values, and our vision for the future. So when Saturn transits here, it's asking, are these really your people? Are these really your goals? Over the next 2.5 years, you'll experience friendship restructuring. So some friendships will deepen and become more committed. Others will naturally fade away. Saturn shows you who your real friends are, the ones who show up, not just the fun time friends. You'll experience quality over quantity. So your social circle might get smaller, but it will get stronger. You're less interested in surface level connections and more interested in meaningful, supportive relationships. You'll experience finding your tribe. So you might join new communities, groups, or organizations that align with your evolving values. Professional networks, creative collaborations, spiritual communities, you're finding your people. You'll experience long-term vision clarity. What do you actually want your future to look like? Not what you think you should want, but what you want. Saturn asks you to get clear and get realistic about your goals. You'll experience social responsibility. So you might take on leadership roles in groups or organizations. You're becoming someone people can count on in your community. You'll experience networking with purpose. So strategic networking, building connections that are mutually beneficial and authentic, not just transactional. You'll experience technology and innovation. So the 11th house rules technology and progressive ideas. Saturn here might have you building something innovative, but with structure and sustainability. And then it could be collective contribution. So how are you contributing to the collective good? What's your role in your community? Saturn asks you to step up. The challenges are you might experience loneliness as friendships shift. You might have to distance yourself from groups that no longer align with who you're becoming. Your goals might feel overwhelming or impossible at times. But the gifts are by the time Saturn leaves your 11th house, you'll have a solid community of people who truly support you. Your friendships will be real and lasting. Your vision for the future will be clear and achievable. You're building your future, Gemini, so choose wisely who and what you include in it. Then what to watch for are your friendship shifts, joining new communities, clarity about long-term goals, leadership opportunities in groups, and building meaningful networks. Cancer. Saturn is moving through your 10th house of career, public image, reputation, and life direction. So this is one of the most visible and demanding Saturn transits, and it's asking you to step up professionally. So the 10th house is your public face, your professional life, your reputation, and your contribution to society. So when Saturn transits here, you're being asked to take your career and public roles seriously. Over the next 2.5 years, themes will include career advancement through hard work. So, no shortcuts, no luck, just strategic effort and proving yourself. If you do the work, Saturn rewards you with the lasting success and recognition. It's increased responsibility. So, you might be promoted, take on more leadership, or have more demands on your time and energy. This is training for higher levels of success. It'll be building your reputation. So everything you do now is building or damaging your professional reputation. So act with integrity, show up consistently, be someone people can count on. It's clarifying your calling. So what do you actually want to be known for? What's your professional legacy? Saturn asks you to get clear about your true calling, not just your current job. It's authority figures and mentors. So you might work with demanding bosses or authority figures who push you to be better, or you might become the authority figure yourself. It's public visibility. So you might become more visible in your field, take on public facing roles, or have your work scrutinized more. This builds character and resilience. It's restructuring your career path. So some cancers will completely change careers during this transit, moving from something unfulfilling to something more aligned with your authentic purpose. And then it's work-life balance challenges. So Saturn in the 10th house can make you a workaholic. The challenge is achieving success without sacrificing your personal life entirely. The challenges will be you'll feel pressure to perform. Work might be demanding, you might face professional obstacles or delays, authority figures might challenge you, and you might question if you're on the right path. But here's the gifts. This is the transit for building lasting professional success. If you put in the work, by 2028, you'll have achieved things you can't even imagine right now. Your career will be solid, your reputation strong, your purpose clear. This is your time to shine professionally, Cancer, so step up. What to watch for is career advancement opportunities, increased professional responsibility, public recognition, leadership roles, and clarity about your life's work. Leo, Saturn is moving through your ninth house of beliefs, higher learning, travel, philosophy, and expansion. So, this transit asks you to take your worldview and personal growth seriously. The ninth house is about how we make meaning of our lives, what we believe, how we expand beyond our current understanding. When Saturn transits here, it's asking, what do you actually believe and how are you growing? Over the next 2.5 years, you'll experience educational pursuits. You might go back to school, pursue a degree or certification, or commit to serious self education. Saturn wants you to build expertise, not just dabble. It's philosophical maturity. So your belief system is evolving. What you used to think was true might be challenged. You're developing a more mature, nuanced worldview. It's teaching and sharing knowledge. So you might step into teaching roles, mentoring, or sharing your expertise. The ninth house rules both learning and teaching. It's publishing or broadcasting. So if you have something to share, a book, a podcast, a platform, Saturn in the ninth house supports building it with discipline and structure. It's international connections. Travel might be more purposeful and less frequent, or you might build connections with people from other cultures that have real depth and meaning. It's legal or ethical matters. So Saturn in the ninth house can bring legal situations that require you to act with integrity and responsibility. It's spiritual discipline. So if you're on a spiritual path, Saturn asks you to commit to it seriously, not just casually explore. It's long distance relationships or connections. So these might be tested for their strength and sustainability. And then it's questioning everything, your faith, your beliefs, your understanding of truth. All of it might be challenged. But this isn't a crisis, it's growth. The challenges you might face are your beliefs might be challenged by reality. Your educational pursuits might be harder or take longer than expected. Travel might be restricted or complicated, and you might feel like your worldview is being dismantled. But the gifts are by the time Saturn leaves your ninth house, you'll have a solid philosophical foundation, real expertise in your areas of interest, and a mature understanding of what you believe and why. You're building wisdom, Leo, not just knowledge, but real wisdom. What to watch for with this transit is educational opportunities, teaching or mentoring roles, travel for purpose, publishing or sharing knowledge, and deep philosophical growth. Virgo, Saturn is moving through your eighth house, the realm of transformation, shared resources, intimacy, power, death, and rebirth. This is intense, psychological, and deeply transformative. The eighth house is about what we share with others: money, resources, bodies, emotions, power. It's also about transformation, psychology, and life's mysteries. So when Saturn transits here, you're learning about healthy merging, appropriate boundaries, and transformative growth. Over the next 2.5 years, themes will include financial responsibility with shared resources. So loans, investments, inheritances, taxes, joint accounts, all of these require mature handling. You're learning to manage money that's not just yours. It'll be deepening intimacy. Your approach to intimacy and vulnerability is maturing. You're learning to be deeply close to people while maintaining healthy boundaries. It's about power dynamics. So, where do you give your power away? Where do you try to control others? Saturn shows you unhealthy power dynamics so you can correct them. It's facing fears about loss. So, the eighth house rules death, loss, and endings. Saturn here asks you to face your fears about losing things, people, or aspects of yourself. It's transformation through challenge. So you might go through experiences that completely transform you. These won't be easy, but they'll make you stronger and wiser. It's psychology and shadow work. So therapy, deep self-examination, understanding your unconscious patterns. This is prime time for that work. It's sexuality and sacred intimacy. So your relationship with sexuality might mature, becoming less about performance and more about genuine connection and vulnerability. It's other people's resources. You might need to borrow money, rely on someone else's resources, or navigate complex financial situation. Saturn teaches you to handle these with integrity. And then it's about releasing control. The eighth house asks us to surrender what we can't control. Saturn teaches you to let go with dignity and trust. The challenges are you might face financial stress related to shared resources. Intimacy might feel scary or risky. You might experience loss or endings that force you to transform. And power struggles in relationships might surface. But the gifts are by the time Saturn leaves your eighth house, you'll have mastered the art of healthy merging, being close to others without losing yourself. You'll understand power dynamics. You'll be financially wise with shared resources. And you'll be psychologically mature. You're learning to transform, Virgo, to die to old versions of yourself and be reborn stronger. So, what to watch for with this transit is financial restructuring, deepening intimacy, psychological breakthroughs, facing fears about loss, and transformation through challenges. Libra. Saturn is moving through your seventh house of partnerships, marriage, committed relationships, and one-on-one connections. So this is a relationship boot camp, and it's asking you to get serious about partnership. The seventh house rules all one-on-one relationships, romantic partnerships, business partnerships, close friendships, even open enemies. When Saturn transits here, relationships are tested, restructured, and matured. So over the next 2.5 years, you'll experience relationship reality checks. So existing relationships will be tested for their strength and sustainability. So weak relationships might end and strong relationships will deepen and become more committed. It will be commitment questions. So are you ready to commit? If you're in a relationship, is it time to take it to the next level? If you're single, are you ready for real partnership or do you need more time? It's partnership restructuring. So the terms of your relationship might change. You might need new boundaries, new agreements, or new ways of relating. It's learning to be a good partner. Saturn asks, what kind of partner are you? Are you responsible, reliable? Do you show up? Do you do the work? This transit teaches you to be a better partner. It's facing relationship fears. So fear of commitment, fear of being alone, fear of losing yourself in relationship. Whatever your relationship fears are, Saturn brings them up so you can work through them. It's business partnerships. So if you work with partners, this transit either strengthens those partnerships or shows you where they're not working. Your professional collaborations get serious. It's attracting serious people. You'll experience attracting serious people. So you might meet people who are more mature, responsible, and serious about commitment. Or you might repel people who just want casual connections. It's the marriage question. So, for many Libras, Saturn in the seventh house brings marriage, engagement, or serious commitment. For others, it brings divorce or separation if the relationship isn't built on solid ground. And finally, it's learning about equality. So, Saturn teaches you about true partnership, not codependency, not independence, but interdependence. Two whole people choosing to build together. The challenges will be relationships might feel heavy or difficult. You might face commitment pressure. Some relationships will end and that will be painful. You might feel lonely or question if partnership is worth it. But the gifts are by the time Saturn leaves your seventh house, you'll know what real partnership looks like. You'll have attracted or built relationships that are solid, mature, and lasting. You'll be a better partner and you'll know yourself better through the mirror of relationship. You're mastering partnership, Libra, not romance, but real grown-up partnership. What to watch for this transit would be relationship commitments or endings, marriage or serious partnership, business partnership developments, and learning to be a mature, responsible partner. Scorpio. Saturn is moving through your sixth house of daily routines, health, work, and service. This transit is about getting your daily life in order and taking responsibility for your health and habits. The sixth house is the house of daily maintenance. So, how you work, how you care for your body, your routines and rituals, your service to others. When Saturn transits here, it's asking, are your daily habits supporting or sabotaging your goals? Over the next 2.5 years, themes will include health accountability. So, your body will demand attention. If you've been ignoring health issues, they'll become impossible to ignore now. Saturn asks you to take your physical health seriously. It's building healthy habits. So, this is the perfect time to establish sustainable routines like exercise, nutrition, sleep, stress management. Saturn rewards consistency. It's work ethic development. So, your approach to work is maturing. You're learning to work smarter, not just harder. You're becoming more reliable, responsible, and skilled. It's daily routine optimization. So, what's your morning routine, your evening wind down, your workday structure? Saturn asks you to design daily routines that actually support your well being. It's job responsibilities. So, your current job might require more of you, or you might take on additional responsibilities. This builds skills and work ethic. It's service and contribution. So, how are you serving others through your work? Saturn in the sixth house asks you to find meaning in being useful and helpful. It's dealing with limitations. So you might face physical limitations, time constraints, or resource restrictions that force you to be more strategic about your energy and priorities. It's workplace dynamics. So if you manage people or work with colleagues, Saturn teaches you about responsibility, boundaries, and professionalism. And then it's pets and animals. So the sixth house also rules pets. You might get a pet that requires real commitment or face responsibilities related to animal care. So the challenges would be you might deal with health issues that require lifestyle changes. Work might feel demanding or tedious. Building new habits may be hard. You might feel limited by time, energy, or physical capacity. But the gifts are by the time Saturn leaves your sixth house, you'll have excellent health habits, a strong work ethic, and daily routines that support your goals. Your body will be stronger, your work will be more skilled and meaningful. So you're mastering the art of daily discipline, Scorpio, building a life that works one day at a time. What to watch for are health wake up calls, building sustainable habits, increased work responsibility, optimizing daily routines, and finding meaning in service. Sagittarius, Saturn is moving through your fifth house of creativity, self expression, romance, pleasure, and children. This transit is asking you to take your joy seriously and express yourself authentically. The fifth house is about what makes life fun, so creative pursuits, hobbies, romance, dating, children, play, and authentic self expression. So when Saturn transits here, it's asking, are you expressing yourself authentically? Are you making time for joy? Over the next 2.5 years, you'll experience creative discipline. So, if you're an artist, writer, musician, or creative person, Saturn asks you to take your craft seriously, build your skills, practice consistently, create with discipline and structure. You'll experience turning hobbies into careers. So, this is excellent timing to take a hobby or passion and turn it into something sustainable, maybe even a business. You'll experience romance maturity. So your approach to dating and romance is growing up. You're less interested in games and drama, more interested in genuine connection and compatibility. You'll focus on your relationship with children. So if you have children, your relationship with them might become more serious or require more responsibility. If you want children, Saturn might bring that conversation to the forefront. It will be your authentic self-expression. So Saturn asks, are you expressing who you really are or are you performing? This transit helps you find your authentic voice and share it even if it's scary. It's pleasure and play. Sagittarius, you're usually playful, but Saturn asks, are you making time for joy or Have you become too serious? It's finding balance between responsibility and pleasure. You'll experience some creative blocks. So you might face creative blocks or challenges that force you to deepen your skills and commitment to your craft. It's risk and speculation. So the fifth house rules gambling and speculation. Saturn here teaches caution and wisdom around risk taking. And finally, it's performance and recognition. If your work involves performance or public creative expression, Saturn brings opportunities to prove yourself and gain recognition through skill and dedication. The challenges will be creative projects might feel harder or take longer, romance might feel heavy or complicated, you might struggle with self-doubt about your creative abilities, and play might feel difficult when you're focused on responsibility. But the gifts are, by the time Saturn leaves your fifth house, you'll have developed real creative skills, matured in your approach to romance, and learned to express yourself authentically. Your creativity will be structured and sustainable. You're learning that joy is serious business, Sag, and that authentic expression requires courage. What to watch for is creative projects that require discipline, romantic relationships that get serious, opportunities to develop creative skills, and learning to balance joy with responsibility. Capricorn, Saturn is moving through your fourth house of home, family, roots, and emotional foundation. This transit is about building solid emotional and domestic foundations. The fourth house represents your private life, your home environment, your family of origin, your ancestry, and your emotional core. When Saturn transits here, it's asking, what kind of foundation are you building your life on? Over the next 2.5 years, themes will include home and family living situation. So you might buy property, renovate, move, or significantly change your living situation. Saturn supports building a home that's solid and lasting. You'll focus on family responsibilities. So you may have increased responsibilities related to family, like caring for aging parents, supporting family members, or stepping into a parental or leadership role in your family. It'll be emotional foundation work, so building emotional security from the inside out. Therapy, inner child work, processing family of origin issues. This is the time for deep emotional healing. It'll be creating stability. So after years of Saturn in your spiritual 12th house in Pisces, you're now building something solid and tangible. It's creating stability. So you're building something solid and tangible now, a home base, a foundation you can count on. It's dealing with the past, so old family patterns, ancestral wounds, childhood experiences. These might come up for healing and resolution. It's privacy and boundaries. So Saturn in the fourth house teaches you to protect your private life, to create boundaries between your public and private self. It's real estate and property. If you're buying property or dealing with real estate, Saturn asks you to be practical, patient, and responsible. Don't rush major decisions. It's redefining family. What does family mean to you? Blood family, chosen family, creating your own sense of belonging and home. And then it's rootedness and belonging. Where do you belong? What grounds you? Saturn here helps you create a sense of rootedness, whether that's geographical, emotional, or spiritual. The challenges may be family issues might be demanding, home situations might require work or investment. You might feel emotionally heavy or burdened, and dealing with the past can be painful. But the gifts will be, by the time Saturn leaves your fourth house, you'll have a solid foundation emotionally, domestically, and psychologically. Your home will be stable, your emotional core will be strong, and you'll know where you belong. You're building your foundation, Capricorn. Everything else you create will rest on this. Things to watch for is home purchases or renovations, increased family responsibilities, deep emotional healing work, and creating a solid foundation for your life. Aquarius, Saturn, your traditional ruling planet, is moving through your third house of communication, learning, siblings, and local environments. This transit is about mastering communication and developing your mind. The third house rules how we think, communicate, learn, and interact with our immediate environment. So when Saturn transits here, it's asking, how can you communicate more effectively? What do you need to learn? Over the next 2.5 years, you'll experience communication discipline. So you're learning to communicate with precision, responsibility, and maturity. Every word matters. No more careless speech. It will be writing and speaking. So if you write or speak professionally or you want to, Saturn supports building these skills with dedication and structure. This is excellent for authors, speakers, and teachers. It's serious learning, so you might pursue formal education, certifications, or commit to serious self-study. Saturn wants you to develop real expertise in areas that matter to you. It's mental maturity. Your thinking is becoming more structured, practical, and mature. It's less scattered and more focused. You'll focus on your local environment, so changes to your neighborhood or local community. You might move nearby or take on more responsibility in your local area. It's sibling relationships. So relationships with your siblings might become more serious, require more responsibility, or need restructuring. Or these relationships might deepen. It's short trips and commuting, so your daily travel patterns might change. Commuting might become more demanding or require better planning. It's teaching and mentoring. So you might step into teaching or mentoring roles, sharing what you know with others who are learning. It's technology and communication tools. So building skills with communication technology or creating systems and processes for how you communicate. And then it's mental health. So you'll be taking your mental health seriously, like managing anxiety, depression, or other mental health challenges with maturity and support. The challenges will be communication might feel difficult or blocked. Learning might be harder or slower than you'd like. You might struggle with self-doubt about your intelligence or communication abilities, and sibling relationships might be challenging. But the gifts are, by the time Saturn leaves your third house, you'll be an excellent communicator, skilled in your chosen areas of learning, and mentally disciplined. Your words will carry weight and wisdom. So you're mastering the art of communication, Aquarius. You're learning to think and speak with authority. What to watch for with this transit is writing or speaking opportunities, educational pursuits, communication skills development, and deeper connections with siblings or neighbors. Pisces, Saturn is moving through your second house of money, possessions, values, and self-worth. This transit is about building financial security and understanding your true worth. The second house rules what we value, like money, material possessions, our talent, and our sense of self-worth. When Saturn transits here, it's asking, what do you value and how are you building financial stability? So over the next 2.5 years, themes will include financial responsibility. It's time to get serious about money. So budgeting, saving, planning for the future. Saturn rewards financial discipline and punishes financial recklessness. It's building income. So you might work to increase your income, develop new income streams, or build financial security through strategic efforts. It's understanding your worth. How much are you worth? Not just financially, but as a human being. Saturn here helps you understand and claim your value. It's material simplicity. So you might simplify your material life, letting go of possessions that don't serve you and keeping only what truly has value. It's earning through skill. So Saturn in the second house rewards you for building real skills and earning money through genuine expertise and efforts. It's financial challenges that teach. So you might face financial limitations or constraints that force you to be smarter, more resourceful, and more disciplined with money. It's value alignment. Are you earning money in ways that align with your values? Are you spending money on things that truly matter? Saturn asks these questions. It's long-term financial planning, so retirement, investments, savings. Saturn asks you to think long-term and build financial foundations that will support your future. And then finally, it's your relationship with the material world. What's your relationship with money and possessions? Do you have a scarcity mindset or an abundance mindset? Saturn helps you build a healthy relationship with the material world. The challenges might be money might be tight at times. You might feel like you're not earning enough or not worth enough. Building financial security is slow work, or you might have to delay gratification. But the gifts are by the time Saturn leaves your second house, you'll have solid financial habits, a clear understanding of your worth, and sustainable income based on real value and skill. You'll be financially mature. So you're building your worth, Pisces, not just financially, but holistically. So the things to watch out for is financial restructuring, income building, developing valuable skills, and deepening your understanding of your own worth. Okay, so we've covered what Saturn in Aries means for each sign. Now let's talk about how to actually work with this energy to get the most out of these 2.5 years. Number one, embrace the challenge. So Saturn doesn't make things easy. But here's the secret. The challenges Saturn brings are exactly what you need to grow. Instead of resisting difficulty, ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? The obstacles aren't blocking your path, they are the path. Each challenge is an opportunity to prove yourself, to build strength, and develop skills. When things get hard, remember, Saturn rewards effort. The harder you work, the greater the payoff. Just make sure you're working smart, not hard. Number two, take initiative even when you're scared. So Aries energy is about starting and Saturn is about responsibility. So together they're asking you to take initiative on the things that matter. What have you been waiting to start? What have you been procrastinating on? What are you waiting for permission to do? Saturn in Aries says, start now, take the first step. Stop waiting for the perfect moments or for someone to tell you it's okay. Yes, be strategic. Yes, be prepared, but don't use planning as an excuse for indefinite delay. At some point, you have to leap. Number three, build confidence through action. Confidence isn't something you have before you act. It's something you earn by acting despite fear and proving to yourself what you're capable of. Every time you do something brave, you build confidence. Every time you face a challenge and survive, you get stronger. Every time you take action despite fear, you prove to yourself that you can. Saturn in Aries is your opportunity to build real confidence, not fake bravado or arrogance, but genuine earned confidence based on actual capacity. So take the scary job interview, have the difficult conversation, start the business, apply for the opportunity, ask for what you want. Each time you do, you build confidence. Number four, stand alone when necessary. So one of the hardest lessons of Saturn in Aries is learning to stand alone when necessary. Not because you're isolated or abandoned, but because sometimes you need to trust yourself more than you trust consensus. There will be times when no one supports your decision. There will be times when people question you, when you're the only one who believes in your path. Saturn in Aries asks, can you stand alone? Can you trust yourself even when others don't? Can you be okay with being the only one? This doesn't mean being stubborn or refusing to help. It means being willing to walk your path even when it's lonely, even when it's unpopular. Number five, practice healthy anger and assertiveness. So Aries rules anger and Saturn rules maturity. Together, they're teaching you to access your warrior energy in healthy ways. So this means setting boundaries without guilt, saying no when you need to, standing up for yourself without being aggressive, expressing anger constructively rather than suppressing it or exploding, fighting for what matters without destroying relationships, and being assertive without being domineering. Anger is information. It tells you when a boundary has been crossed or when something matters deeply. The question question is, what do you do with that energy? Saturn in Aries teaches you to channel anger into productive action rather than destructive reaction. Number 6, lead by example. Saturn in Aries is about leadership, but not the domineering kind. It's about leading by example, being the kind of person others naturally want to follow because you embody what you teach. So this means walking your talk, being consistent and reliable, taking responsibility for your impact, admitting mistakes and learning from them, and setting the standard rather than waiting for others to set it. You don't need a title or position to lead. You lead through your actions, your integrity, and your willingness to go first. Number 7, start before you're ready. Here's the truth about Saturn in Aries. You'll never feel 100% ready. There will always be more you could learn, more you could prepare, more certainty you wish you had. But Saturn in Aries is teaching you to start anyway, to take action despite incomplete preparation, to trust that you'll figure it out as you go. This doesn't mean being reckless. It means being willing to be a beginner, to make mistakes, to learn by doing. The perfect moment doesn't exist. There's only now and your willingness to begin. Number 8, be patient with the process. Saturn moves slowly. This is a 2.5-year transit. The results you're building won't come overnight. You might feel frustrated by delays, obstacles, or slow progress. But remember, Saturn builds things that last. Quick wins fade quickly. Slow, steady progress creates foundations that hold. Trust the process, show up consistently, do the work even when you don't see immediate results. The payoff will come. Saturn always rewards dedication. Number 9, balance independence with interdependence. So Saturn in Aries emphasizes independence and self-reliance, but don't take this to an extreme. You're human. You need help sometimes. You need community. You need support. The goal isn't to do everything alone. It's to be capable of standing alone while also knowing when to ask for help and accept support. True strength includes knowing your limits and building a team that completes your weaknesses. Number 10, track your progress. Keep a journal through this transit. Saturn rewards awareness and accountability. So document challenges you face and how you handle them, moments when you were brave, lessons you're learning, progress you're making, even the small wins, patterns you notice, changes in your confidence, leadership, or self-reliance. Looking back over 2.5 years, you'll be amazed at how much you've grown, but you won't see it in the moment unless you track it. Okay, beautiful souls. So we've covered so much today. Now I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me what's your sun, moon, or rising sign. Which house will Saturn be transiting for you? What area of your life are you ready to get serious about? And what's one brave action you're committing to taking during this transit? I read every comment and I love hearing how you're working with these energies. If you found this deep dive helpful, give this video a thumbs up. It helps the YouTube algorithm share this content with more people who need it. Subscribe to Cosmic Blueprints Astrology if you haven't already and hit that notification bell. But until next time, stay blessed, beautiful souls, and I'll see you in the next video.